Welcome to the Dynasty Rook Fantasy Football Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things Dynasty. In the game of football, we play chess, not checkers.
He looks like Jerry Rice out there.
And here's your host, GV.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome back to the Dynasty Rook podcast. As always, I'm your host, GV. And as always, I'm joined by our fearless leader of the Dynasty Rook. You can follow us at Dynasty Rook on Instagram and Twitter. Our fearless leader, Dick Navis, chugging a White Claw. What's up, Dick?
Hello, Gautam. How are you?
I'm doing okay. This NFL draft stuff has made
It's over.
the quarantine much easier.
There's no more predictions. There's no more guessing. We know where these rookies are landed, and it's time for. I'll let you intro. What are we doing on this podcast?
It's time for the real scouting and to deep dive and see where you're going to take your guys. We're going to do a little rookie mock draft later with a couple of people we have on the pod. We have our doctor of physical therapy up in here, Kyle Chapman. What's up, Kyle?
What's up, guys?
Hey, Kyle, how'd you feel about the Eagles draft?
Pretty good. I'm ready for the season.
Yeah, I heard you got a new jersey. Maybe it might be the right number, might be the wrong number. No one really knows.
Might be. That's just how excited I am about the draft and about the NFL season.
What happened with that?
So what happened with your Rager jersey?
Well, he retweeted a picture of himself with a number 18 jersey. And so I went on DHgate. Shout out DHgate for, a nice cheap across seas jersey. And they had number 18 Rager, so I was like, all right. So I bought it to replace my Aguilar jersey, to find out 30 minutes later that he tweeted out jersey number coming soon. Might already be getting the wrong number jersey. But
yeah,
so,
I'm hoping so. I hope one of their random rookies just takes 18. And it's like a random number.
It's a rare jersey.
Yeah. But thanks for joining us, Kyle. We also have on the pod our new YouTube manager, Arun Algepin. What's up, Arun?
What's up, JV?
You had a big draft as well, huh? The Raiders are just go wide receiver. First they go Ruggs, which I know you weren't too happy about at the time. But then they go wide receiver and wide receiver again in the third. So what are your thoughts on their draft?
Firstly, follow us on YouTube at Dynasty Rook to see my live reaction of the draft when we drafted Ruggs. I went AWOL. I was not happy when we drafted Ruggs, but with that being said, we followed it up with an ex-receiver in Brian Edwards in the third and Lynn Bowden. So I'm actually kind of stoked about that. I think they got speed and the big guys, so it's a pretty good fit.
Oh, yeah, I think you were saying live when we went through the pod, their draft made a lot more sense after their second two picks, right? You would think they would have gone with someone different than Ruggs if they didn't really have this plan to build out the receivers more. But kind of the receivers they got, and I guess Bowden's a running back, right? Who knows, right? He's everything.
Yeah, Mayock said they envisioned starting him off at running back, which makes him a high upside handcuff. I won't steal too much of the thunder, whoever drafts Bowden at the end of the second. But it's exciting. He's an exciting weapon to have on any football team.
So what grade would you get him real quick? Give the Raiders a grade.
I'm going to go with a B draft.
All right.
Nice.
B minus. Yep.
The first year of the Las Vegas Raiders, they definitely shot up some fireworks and did some crazy stuff. So we got Arun on. Thanks for joining us. And we have a brand new member, to the podcast. One of our writers who just had a new buy low, sell high on running backs come out. Karn Sandhu. What's up, Karn?
Let's go. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Finally on the podcast. Let's go. I'm excited, man.
Let's go.
Hell yes. So you can follow Karn at Dynasty Karn. Karn does a lot of great articles for us, and he's also a diehard Packers fan. So I know the Packers are probably one of the strangest drafts this year, right, Karn? You got to give me your reaction to that.
We had the worst draft, dude. We had the worst draft in the NFL, and it's not even close. It was terrible. Man, I was devastated.
What do you think Rodgers is thinking right now?
What did the Packers do?
Recap it for the people. Ready for a trade, man. I feel so
that's what
bad
Stephen A. Smith said the other day, right?
I feel so bad for him. If I was in his position, I'd be demanding a trade. That's how.
And didn't Brett Favre come out and say something this week?
Yeah.
Didn't Brett Favre come out this week and say that he doesn't see Rodgers finishing the season or something?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of. Oh, I don't know about the season. I think he said as far as like his career, he won't finish his career in Green Bay, but I feel like that's kind of expected. You kind of see that with like Brady and then Manning and stuff like that. These guys that are super competitive, they don't want to hang it up. So, but this is premature, man. This 2-3 years too early. This isn't right, man.
And they traded up, right? They're in the first round. Up. They trade up to draft
for a backup quarterback, for their backup quarterback, and he's probably not going to see the field for 2 to 3 years. And when they're ready to move on from Rodgers, they're going to have to pay him.
But then their second pick, they made a good decision, right?
Oh man, I was just as bad as the first pick.
So weird. Their two best positions. That's who they draft.
Yeah, their two best positions. So they go. Weird. We got Rodgers and we got Aaron Jones, and they take a quarterback and a running back. And
that's so crazy. So on the flip side of that, though, they drafted Aaron Rodgers when Brett Favre was 35. And then they draft Jordan Love when Aaron Rodgers is 36.
Right.
So how do you feel? Is that one championship with Aaron Rodgers worth it? Do you think Jordan Love can kind of take over, give up on Aaron Rodgers now, and get you that one championship? Would it be worth it?
I don't think so. Definitely not. Like you got.
It's more likely that Aaron Rodgers wins another one, right?
Come on. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, right? So you have. Well, you first had Brett Favre, then you have Aaron Rodgers, and you have 2 Super Bowls, and it's been, 30 years? 30 years.
Yeah.
And you're only getting 2 rings out of that. Like, come on. You gotta go for it again. You can't just start looking for the future when you still have Rodgers, and he's good enough to win you another Super Bowl. You know?
Yeah, it sounds like the Packers were 2-12. The Packers were 13-3 and made the NFC Championship.
1 game away from the Super Bowl. One game. One game.
No time for a new quarterback.
Oh, man. No.
Well, thanks for joining us, Karn. Well, I'm sure we'll have you on many more podcasts in the future, but be sure to check out Karn's buy low, sell high article on running backs. Karn, you want to tease one of the players that you chose in that article?
Yeah, so I've been saying that Boston Scott, he's my favorite value of the Kyle with the Eagles. Yes, sir. He's one of my favorite values for the running back position, and the Eagles did not draft any running backs. So
correct.
I'm pretty excited to see if they add anybody in free agency, or maybe Devonta Freeman or somebody, but I think they're happy having him, and I could see him just carving out a role and being there for more than just the short term. So I think he'll be a solid flex if you guys try to buy low on him. So you should.
And the price on Boston Scott can't be too high either. So I mean, it's definitely a good candidate.
He's for sure cheap. Yeah.
And
especially because they re-signed Corey Clement today.
Oh yeah,
and they signed a couple undrafted free agents. So I think that Boston Scott definitely paved his way for a role, at least RB2/3 with Corey Clement. So they're not going to give all the carries to Sanders. They haven't been like that for the past 4 years. So yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, thanks, Karn, for joining us. Like I said, we'll have you on many more pods in the future. Be sure to check out his articles. We're going to try to give you as much content as we can during these next however long we're stuck indoors for.
Wait, I have a question for you. How many people...
What is it about Air Bear?
No, we'll get to that in a second. I just want to have a selfish question about how many people from the 559 are on this podcast, baby.
Let's go.
Unbelievable. Who's the best Fresno State player in this draft?
What do you mean? Nathan Muti.
You tell me.
He's a guard. Walker. He's a guard. Just don't worry about it, dude. You'll figure it out.
Unbelievable.
What's that guy, Jerron Green? He's from Fresno. Never mind.
Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, he's from Fresno.
There's
so many Fresno athletes. They just keep pumping them out.
There's a Fresno athlete who was just...
Yeah, Jalen Johnson went to Central High School. I coached there right after my senior year, but they're the new powerhouse now.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to see those guys. There's just so many Fresno athletes. Anyway, sorry. I didn't want to cut you off, Gato. Go for it.
Well, you already did, so you could fuck off. But anyways, that's enough talk about the 559. Shout out Doghouse, though. Delicious as hell.
Yeah. Try to.
But so we're a week out from the draft, so we thought what better way to get this started than a 2-round rookie mock draft live, which I promise you no one's made these picks. These are not prepared. We're going to do this on the fly. And we're going to incorporate in here what we did over the past couple days. So the 5 of us on this pod here and Taylor made consensus rankings. So we ranked our top 15 wide receivers, all rookies, obviously, our top 15 wide receivers, our top 15 running backs, our top 5 QBs, and our top 5 tight ends. Because I think we all agree here, tight end's a pretty weak class this year, and QB's a top-heavy class this year, so we didn't think it was worth it to rank more than that. But we have consensus rankings that came out, so we'll talk about those consensus rankings today, and we'll also be posting those on the website. So look out for those, and we'll be updating them as we go along. So a lot of good content to do. But anything else before we get right into this 2-round rookie mock?
Let's do it.
Or should we just fucking do this?
Oh my God, I'm excited.
Let's do it. So this is definitely the first live mock that I've done this year. I know Arun's probably done a couple. You guys preparing. Arun, what picks do you have in our league this year?
I have 2 and 6.
Damn.
He has 2 and 6. I have 3 and 9. So we're kind of all over the first round.
I got
so
7.
I got
mock,
5
we're
and
gonna
7.
be. Maybe we shouldn't be drafting with each other, but fuck it.
Yeah, this definitely hurts
It's for the people.
Whatever.
It's for the people.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's 5 of us. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in order. Dick's going to go first. Arun's going to go second. I'll go third. Karn goes fourth. And Kyle goes fifth. We're each going to pick 5 times. So we're going to go through the first 2 rounds. And then Kyle's going to finish us off at the top of the 3rd round. We won't do a time limit or anything. We'll just keep it moving so that we can talk about our rankings and talk about how landing spots have affected these guys. So let's get it started with the first pick in the Dynasty Rook.
I have a question.
I have an answer.
What are the scoring? What are we doing for scoring?
So we did our
no PPR, like real people, or full PPR, like the Winnies?
Definitely half.
All right, half. Cool.
So we know what the Dynasty Rook preaches about 6-point quarterback touchdowns and no PPR, but for the benefit of everyone, so we just did one ranking, so we did it based on half PPR. So we'll do that same thing here.
Cool.
But let's get right into it then. So with the first pick in the Dynasty Rook rookie mock draft, post NFL draft 2.0, Dick Navis, you're on the clock. Who you taking? Remember your rule? If you're on the clock at 1, you can't take any time.
I'm going with
just make the damn pick.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, baby.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire. This is a perfect place to start post NFL draft. Tell us why you took Clyde. Tell us why you took Clyde.
Obvious reasons. The Chiefs drafted him. We talked about this before. Whoever the Chiefs draft, especially if they draft a running back in the 1st round, that guy's got to be considered as the number 1 pick in fantasy. I would not take him in OG Dynasty, but since we're doing half PPR, hence my question, it's got to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We talked about his last name. His last initials are Looking at the film, looking at the landing spot, he is not so This guy is going to catch the ball out of the backfield. Even Damian Williams produced. He was people said he was a 1st-round pick last year in redraft. That was ridiculous. But anyways, this guy is definitely a 1st-round pick in redraft. He's a 1st overall pick in this year's Dynasty Rook mock draft 2.0.
Yeah, so I think Clyde is the biggest benefiter of all skill position players from the NFL draft. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
In our consensus rankings, we have him at number 2, but Arun, Karn, and Taylor also did consensus rankings too to be input. So Arun, Karn, and Taylor have him at number 1. So I don't know, Arun and Karn, do you want to tell us what you think about his landing spot and why you think he's the number 1 back at this point?
Sure, I can go real quick. I read an article a couple of days ago that Patrick Mahomes handpicked this pick.
Let's go!
So, one, you got arguably the best quarterback in the game, and if not a top 2 quarterback in the game in Patrick Mahomes, then he wants this guy. He's absolutely the best pass catcher in this class. He's tied to a number 1 QB for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Worst case, 4 years if they don't pick up his 5th-year extension. That gives them an edge over JT because you don't know the quarterback situation. And JT being Jonathan Taylor. And if you go back and look at Andy Reid's history with bell cow backs such as Brian Westbrook and LaShawn McCoy, he has fed them the rock. And there's a quote from Andy Reid saying Clyde Edwards-Helaire is better than Brian Westbrook.
What?
Case in point. That's my 101.
It's pretty crazy. He goes from a quarterback who threw 60 touchdowns to a slight decrease, right? A guy who only threw 50 touchdowns.
Yeah, sweet.
But he's definitely going to a sick offense. Karan, do you have the same feelings about Clyde?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty close for me as far as him and Jonathan Taylor. But you can't pass up the running back in the Chiefs offense. Like, you know he's going to produce. Mm-hmm. It's Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and you know he's going to get passing down work. You can't guarantee that with Jonathan Taylor. He's shown the ability to do that, but with the Colts offense, you don't know he's going to get that work for sure. So I feel like it's a safer option to just go the CEH route and just go from there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are saying the Chiefs running back is the number 101, but this guy's no slouch, man. He had over 1,400 yards rushing last year and then another 450 yards receiving. So, I mean, this guy's just as dangerous. And when you move him from one potent offense in LSU to another in Kansas City, there's no reason to think he can't do the same thing.
Yeah, he had 55 catches last year. Like you said, 1,400 yards. That's with Joe Burrow throwing with that many yards and 60 touchdowns. I went with the sure thing. You could go ceiling, you could go floor. This guy's a sure thing. I do hear the Brian Westbrook NFL comp. That is my comp for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But looking at Westbrook's stats, he only rushed for 1,000 yards 2 times. He only had 500 yards. He had 500 yards receiving 4 times. And he had 3 times he had 1,500 yards from scrimmage in a 9-year career. So I think this guy has a better landing spot and could have a better career than Brian Westbrook. That's why I got to take him at number 1 overall.
All right, so number 1 in the Dynasty Rook rookie mock draft 2.0, Clyde Edwards-Helaire of the Kansas City Chiefs, who's number 2 in our consensus RB rankings as of now. All right, Arun, you're on the clock at 2. I know you don't need no time. You told me who you're going to pick at 2 if he's there.
I am taking my number 1 player this year pre-draft, and that is Jonathan Taylor to the Indianapolis Colts. Couple quick pointers. He had a big offensive line in Wisconsin, like they always do, and that's what he gets in Indy. They're massive. They'll maul you over. He's going to have a lot of room to run up the middle, like got him seen plenty times on video.
That seriously, not to cut you off, but that was ridiculous. I literally watched one game film, and he ran up the middle 30 times. And he got 6 or 7 yards on every carry. It's like the dude can run to the edge, but he doesn't even fucking need to.
Yeah. In his last season, his age 21 season, he rushed for 2,003 yards, and he had a 10.3% target share, pass catching wise. And if you look at CEH, his career target share was 10.3%. So Jonathan Taylor can do it. He just needs the opportunity to do it. There is concern with both Marlon Mack and Naheem Hines there. They're both excellent pass catchers, so we're not sure what the vision is for him on third down. So that, to me, is the reason I had him a little under CEH, because I think CEH is going to be true 3 down back. But outside of that, I'm stoked to get him at 102. And quick comps, I said on the last pod, he reminds me of his film run style of Nick Chubb, and his metrics analytics line up very close to Zeke. So he's as close to a can't-miss prospect as you can get, and I'm clicking the button all day at the 102 with Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, yeah. There are going to be some quarterback questions after Phil's gone, but in the year Phil's there, he's going to get passing down work. I mean, Phil loves to throw the ball. As I know, Phil loves to throw the ball to his running backs, and he loves to run the ball. So he's going to be a year 1 producer. I think if you can get him at 102, which now in some drafts you can, it's a steal. Anyone got other thoughts on JT? All right, let's keep it moving then.
I got one.
All right, tell us.
So my comp for him, I think you might like this. Got him is Ryan Matthews. But
why would anyone like that comp?
But a durable Ryan Matthews. You remember Ryan Matthews was the 15th overall pick
I thought you said we're not talking about Fresno no more, dude.
Okay, well, there's another Fresno guy. Well, shit, there's too many of them not to talk about. But he's a downhill runner. He's a one-cut guy. He can make people miss in a phone booth, and he can hit the home run. So imagine Ryan Matthews, but to his full potential, never getting hurt. That's Jonathan Taylor.
I don't even want to imagine that, dude. This just brings up shitty memories.
I'm sorry.
So JT goes at 2. You're definitely right. He can dodge people in a phone booth. He runs up the middle and jumps over hands all the time. JT is an amazing pick at number 2. If you can get him at 2 in your rookie drafts, be happy with it. So CEH goes to number 1 and JT goes to number 2. So I'm on the clock here at number 3. There's all the wide receivers left, but the more I look at this running back class is top heavy. So I'm going to go ahead and take a running back here, and I'm going to take J.K. Dobbins. Dobbins goes to Baltimore, where he only has Mark Ingram in front of him, and Mark is now in his 30s. And he's going to an offense Dobbins is going to an offense that is arguably just as potent as Kansas City, and an offense that loves to run the football. They were top 5 in the league last year in percentage of run plays run. Dobbins can catch the ball. His stats in college were the most comparable to JT out of anyone. We were just talking before we started the pod how him and JT, just stats-wise, are probably 1A and 1B in their college careers. They both had 2,000 yards a couple times. And I think Dobbins, at the top of this draft, is going to a team that's going to be successful for the next 5 to 10 years. And with Mark Ingram's time there being limited, I think this is one that it may take a year to pan out, but I'm happy to see Dobbins go to Baltimore, especially they spent pretty good draft capital on him, taking him in the 2nd round. So I'm going to go ahead and take our consensus ranking number 3 running back this year, J.K. Dobbins. And just to go back to Jonathan Taylor, he is actually our consensus number 1 running back out of the 6 of us. Any thoughts on the Dobbins pick?
I love the Dobbins pick. He's my number 2 rated running back. He was an absolute beast the past 3 years, averaged over 2,000 yards for the past 3 years. Over the past 2 years, he can catch the ball, he can run, he doesn't really have much of an injury history, and then he falls perfectly with a similar story to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He gets Lamar Jackson for the next, at least 3 to 4 years, and that's just a run-heavy offense, and he could absolutely take the beating there in that and handle as many runs as he can. I love the landing spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's we preach also here at Dynasty Rook that nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. There's a good chance that any 3 of these guys, CEH, JT, or J.K. Dobbins, could have the best career out of the 3. They all have. JT has the pedigree and he has the talent, so even he can overcome not as perfect landing spot as the other 2, but I think the 3 of these guys have great opportunities to do big things.
Yeah, I do like J.K. Dobbins. I do think if you have time to wait, if you're in win now mode and you're trying to win a championship this year, J.K. Dobbins might not be the pick for you, just because Mark Ingram is still going to be that guy for at least 1, maybe 2 years. But in the long term, this is Dynasty, right? This isn't redraft. This is Dynasty. You go for the long term. J.K. Dobbins is going to be very potent in that offense, especially with D-ends keeping the edge, waiting for Lamar Jackson to pull it. J.K. Dobbins is just going to have wide open holes. He's more explosive than Mark Ingram, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. And it's just a great pick at 1-3.
Yeah, so in the first 3 picks, we have our top 3 consensus running backs go slightly out of our consensus order. Our consensus order was 1, 2, 3, JT, Clyde, and JK. In the rookie mock draft, we have CEH going 1 to Dick's team, JT going 2 to Arun's team, and I took JK Dobbins at 3. Let's go right to 104. Karn, you're on the clock. Who are you taking?
So with the top 3 running backs off the board, I'm going to take our boy TD Lamb. So I'm super pumped at the 104 getting the number 1 wide receiver prospect, in my opinion, in the class. And at first, I mean, I know it kind of sucks seeing that he landed at Dallas because obviously there's Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup there. So there's going to be a lot of mouths to feed. But I think it's a great situation for him. He's going to be able to learn from both of them. And in a couple years, I think in 2021, Amari's contract, Cowboys can get out of it if they want, and Gallup's going to be a free agent. So give him 2 years, and I think he's going to be number one in Dallas. I mean, he can probably take over prior to that, but these are still rookies, so you gotta. It's Dynasty, right? So we gotta wait it out a little bit. But
oh yeah,
I'm super happy getting TD Lamb at 104, and let's do it.
Yeah, this was one of the crazier picks for me in the NFL draft. We were all doing this live, and I know Kyle was stoked. He's like, are we going to get TD Lamb to the Eagles? And then the fucking Cowboys just spike the Eagles and out of nowhere take TD Lamb. This is just a ridiculous pick. I mean, everyone knew the talent, but I agree with you. The landing spot isn't bad. He's good. We were even saying that they could even trade Amari if they wanted to. If they have now, they have a lot of options, and they have a young quarterback in Dak, and they have a great running game. So, I mean, he's in a great position, and if you can get TD Lamb at 104, who thought before the NFL draft that you could get TD Lamb at 104? No one, right? Like, so I think if you're in the mid first round range, you're going to have a lot of receiver options here just because the running back class is top heavy. So I love that pick there. Any thoughts on landing spot for TD Lamb? Anyone else?
Yeah, just going off the Dallas Cowboys draft class, they could win the draft this year. I mean, you go CeeDee Lamb at number 1, Trayvon Diggs from Alabama, the corner, in the second round, Neville Gallimore out of Oklahoma in the third round. He was projected to be a first round pick. They get more O-line help with Tyler Badass from Wisconsin, and then Bradley Anae in the fifth round. It's ridiculous. This Dallas Cowboys draft class is ridiculous. Also, going off what Karn said about there's tons of mouths to feed. If Dak Prescott does not produce this year, he does not get a long-term contract. Would you agree with that?
He's going to produce, Dick. Come on. He's going to produce.
No, I think they're going to sign him before the season starts.
Oh, really? Not play him on the franchise tag?
I would be surprised. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think Jerry Jones and the entire organization is a believer. I know you're not a big Dak fan, but I think he's a baller.
I mean, they could have one of the best young cores in all. They have one of the best young cores down in all football.
Yeah,
that's undoubted. So I think Karn gets a steal here at 104 with TD Lamb, the first wide receiver off the board. Let's go to who should have been a fan of TD Lamb if he had dropped to the Eagles. Let's go to Kyle at 5. Kyle, where are you going? Running back, receiver?
So the 5th pick for me is where it kind of starts getting a little dicey. I think the top 4 are pretty consensus to me, but I've been kind of going back and forth in my head since you guys started talking about CeeDee Lamb. I just don't love the Swift landing spot. It scares me too much. I love Kerryon Johnson, so I'm going to go with the 5th pick, Pluxton Jefferson.
Hey! Ooh, our number 3 consensus wide receiver went to the Minnesota Vikings.
So Pluxton here. So before the draft, I had Jerry Jeudy ranked as my number 2. I just don't love his landing spot. It's very crowded in Denver, and I just love the Pluxton landing spot in Minnesota. He could be immediately jump into the number 2 behind Adam Thielen, who will be a great mentor for Pluxton there.
Absolutely.
The guy's an animal. He catches everything. 111 receptions, 1,540 yards, and 18 touchdowns last year. I think he can be an immediate producer in the NFL, and I'm going to take my chances there over someone like DeAndre Swift there.
Yeah, I think Pluxton's a great pick there. He can slide right into that Diggs role, and I think it increases Thielen's value too. So Pluxton is a fantastic pick. Yeah. So Justin Jefferson. So two of Dick Navis's tier 1 wide receivers are gone, and I think that leaves another tier 1 wide receiver. We'll see if Dick Navis takes him at 105. Dick, who are you going with at 105?
Oh, man. All right.
You're not going to take your guy?
In the Dynasty Rook Mock Draft 2.0, I'm going with Cam Akers.
Oh, no!
Running back out of Florida State. So I love Cam Akers. I watched a film on him. He had a terrible O-line in college. That's why he didn't produce. But he is excellent at making the first man miss. And he pushes the pile forward, which got him, as you know, are the best two attributes of a running back. He does go to a limited O-line at the LA Rams, but he doesn't share the rock. So that was my hesitation with Jonathan Taylor with the Colts. Marlon Mack is a very capable back. Naheem Hines is a very capable third down back. He can take over as that role, but since we're doing half PPR, Jonathan Taylor probably won't be used in the passing game very much. But Cam Akers will be used as a workhorse back, a bell cow back, whatever you want to call him. Daryl, the angle destroyer Henderson, isn't going to take any reps from Cam Akers unless he does a little tap on the helmet and says, "Hey, Daryl, can you give me like a play or two off?" Because otherwise, I'm going to fucking run all over these motherfuckers. Because Cam Akers is just like Josh Jacobs. He welcomes contact. He's an excellent receiver. And he's just an all-around back that's taking over for the Los Angeles Rams. That's why I have Cam Akers as a 5th pick in this draft.
Yeah, I think the only question with Cam, like you said, is that offensive line, if they can shore it up. But the NFL draft definitely helped Cam Akers' stock. He went to a place where he has the ability to be the clear-cut number one. That's why he moved up past Swift for a lot of people, and he is number 4 in our consensus running back rankings.
And then before, like while I was scouting before the NFL draft, he was my number 2 running back behind Jonathan Taylor. So I love his landing spot. I love his tape, and that's why I had to take him, swoop him up at 5.
All right, so Dick Navis goes Cam Akers at 5. So we have 4 running backs off the board through the first, at 6. We have 4 running backs off the board through 6 picks and 2 receivers. So let's go back to Arun for pick 107. Arun, you went JT with your first pick. What are you doing here?
I can't believe he's still on the board, but I'm going Jerry Jeudy, baby.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so a couple things. I think way too many people are afraid of his landing spot.
I'm so afraid.
I could make the case that he's a better prospect than Cortland Sutton, and in addition, he makes Drew Lock's life a lot easier. Drew Lock's not somebody that's going to throw anticipation throws and really push the ball downfield. So on his first read, who's going to be open? The guy that's always open, JV, Jerry Jeudy.
He's always open, dude. I can't believe you didn't take Jeudy, Dick.
He's a better version of Calvin Ridley. That's who Jerry Jeudy is, and we've already seen Calvin Ridley hit.
Is this going to be Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, but in Denver?
Exactly. Couple more things. He's only 21. He produced in the SEC. His yards per route run was number 2 behind Lamb for all receivers taken in the first round, and that's a predictive stat going to the NFL from college. So I absolutely love Jerry Jeudy at 7. I know the landing spot at first isn't great. I had the same feeling. Karan mentioned this earlier with Lamb. I wasn't stoked about it when I heard it on TV, but after having a week to process it, I don't actually mind it. I think it suppressed their value to most people that are drafting, and I think you're getting these guys at a discount. Some people had Jeudy and Lamb 101 before the draft. So you're getting that at 107. I think it's a steal. I'd click the button all day on this.
I completely agree with you. Just the fact that they're projecting at a ceiling of being the wide receiver 2 on a team should not scare you away. I took Calvin Ridley at the 103 a couple years ago, and that could potentially help him a lot and be an immediate producer. So I mean, I think that Jeudy here is a ridiculous pick. Like that's if you can get TD Lamb at 4 and Jeudy at 7 in your drafts, this is going to be one of the greatest first rounds of my dynasty history for sure. It
speaks to the strength of this class. Because I don't actually blame anyone for the picks they took before me. I think there's an argument to be made for all the first 6. So that's how deep this class is, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other thoughts on Jeudy? Or let's keep it moving then.
Great landing spot. Drew Lock is exactly like Arun said. He's not a guy that is going to throw anticipation throws with timing. He's going to lock onto a guy. Jerry Jeudy's going to get open, and he's going to produce. I just don't like the landing spot, but I'm scared. Everyone's not scared. I'm scared.
A little scared.
You're a little scared? All right.
A little. Not too much.
All right, so We're on pick 8 now. The first 7 picks, just to recap quick, were CEH, JT, J.K. Dobbins, T.D. Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Cam Akers, and Jerry Jeudy. So it's on me now at pick number 8.
Do it.
And the way I see this draft is that I can easily rank 20 wide receivers. It's much harder for me to rank 12 running backs.
Do it.
So as I do have, I'm not going to take your boy. I'm going to take DeAndre Swift here. I think this is, like I said, we talked about here. I have the number 3 and the number 9 pick, and I think that if you have these high picks and you have these running backs that have chances to be workhorses and unbelievable players, I think in my eyes there's probably one other guy who has the ceiling wide receiver 1 here. So I think out of the ceilings of the players left, it's DeAndre Swift and another player who's a wide receiver who are the highest. So I'm going to take my chances with Kerryon because I know Kerryon has a long injury history. And I mean, the Lions spent great draft capital on DeAndre Swift. They took him at the top of the second round with pick 35, just a couple picks after CEH went. So he's not going to sit on the bench, and DeAndre Swift can do everything. So I think getting him at 8 here and being able to get wide receivers later is a big move for me. So I'm going to take DeAndre Swift here at 8. Okay, let's keep it moving then. 109, we have Karn. Karn, what are you thinking here? Receiver, running back, tight end, maybe? Who knows?
Yeah, 1.09. I'm going to take Kyle's boy, Jalen Reagor. So I love Jalen Reagor. In the rookie mock draft 1.0, I was fortunate to get him at 1.11. And I was shocked that he got first round draft capital after the NFL draft. And I think he got the best landing spot out of any receiver in this draft class because he's going to have the most available targets. You're going to have Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson. These guys can't stay healthy. They're pretty much already have one leg out the door. They're going to be gone soon. And our boy, Jaws, he's going to take a step up, but I like this prospect way better than Jaws this season. So I love it, man. I love it. And I'm happy to take him right here at 1.09.
Yeah, I mean, they spent ridiculous draft capital on him. He was the 4th wide receiver off the board going at 21 in the first round. He went to a team he was the first wide receiver taken by a team that is desperate for wide receivers. I think he moved up everyone's rankings. He's now the number 5. He's number 5 in our consensus, but I know people had him as high as 3. So, I mean, having Jalen Reagor, who has the ability to be the number 1 receiver, right, Kyle? I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great pick. We've been just dying to have speed. I've said this so many times on the past pods. We've had Carson Wentz has had one game where he's had an elite speed wide receiver play with him in his history. And that one game was with Deshaun Jackson last year. And I don't know if you remember, it was week 1, the only week Deshaun Jackson played. He had 8 receptions, 154 yards, and 2 touchdowns. We've been dying to have this speed, and now we stack up on speed with still have Deshaun. We got Marquise Goodwin, spent a lot of draft capital on Jalen Reagor. We got John Hightower, and we got Quez Watkins. But Jalen Reagor is going to be that guy who's going to step in right away and make that impact and spread that field out because we all know Deshaun Jackson's not going to make it past the first 4 games. Ooh. So I love this landing spot. I would easily spend 1.09 on it, probably even 1.08 on it. I think that his Dynasty draft value shot up the boards over the draft weekend.
This is ridiculous. Like, you look at these first 9 picks, and everyone taken has the ability to be either a wide receiver 1 or a running back 1, and they have opportunity to get that spot. This draft is just... Yeah. It's unparalleled. The landing spots pushed... The draft was so crazy because it pushed people up on landing spots that that moved up draft boards, and the people who were already up there were already up there, so it didn't matter. So I mean, this first round is going to be wild. So Jalen Reagor, potential wide receiver 1 for the Eagles, goes 9 to Karn. So again, Kyle gets spiked by someone he probably wanted to pick. Kyle's on the clock here at 110. Kyle, who are you going to take here at 110?
At 110, I'm going to take Nick Davis's boy,
Hey.
Michael Pittman Jr. from USC.
Another wide receiver one potential.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
So he went with the second pick of round 2 to the Indianapolis Colts, so high draft capital right away. The guy's 6'4", so he brings a different dimension to this Indianapolis Colts offense. He has, Phillip Rivers there, which isn't necessarily ideal, but we know Phillip Rivers likes to chuck it up to the big men. Shout out Mike Williams. I think it's a great landing spot, great draft capital, and he's one of those guys who has the potential to be an alpha receiver in that Indianapolis Colts offense. And now they have the fresh running back and Jonathan Taylor in there to pair with Marlon Mack, and it just adds a nice new dimension to the Indianapolis Colts. So I love it.
Yeah, regardless of the quarterback questions, no matter how long Phil plays, he's the type of receiver that they do not have on the roster. Regardless of who steps in, he's going to play a unique role and have the ability to be a wide receiver one there. He's a completely different receiver than T.Y. Paris, who knows what's going to happen. It's just it's a great landing spot, I think. It's just the quarterback questions are there, but any quarterback loves a guy who's, what is he, Dick? 6'4" what?
6'4", 223.
Yeah, 6'4", 223. I mean, I could throw to a guy who's sucking 6'4", 223. You don't need to be a superstar quarterback. So, I mean, the landing spot is great. And if you're looking at Michael Pittman at the end of the first round, like, come on, right? That's beautiful stuff. I know Dick would have loved it. So, Kyle.
Guess what college his dad played for?
Let's move on.
Hey, baby.
Hey, Nick, are you taking him at 107?
Of course. What do you mean? Of course.
Do you love him more than Cortland? Do you love him more than Cortland Sutton? Yeah. So this is about like when Sutton was 3 years ago or 2 years ago.
Yes.
Dick Navis told us all summer, he's like, "Don't let Cortland Sutton fall to me at 110. Don't let Cortland Sutton fall to me at 110." And then I
traded out of the 10th spot and I moved back to 12, and you guys still let me take Cortland Sutton.
It was the least sly move of all time. Dick Davis told us for months, and then he took Cortland Sutton. So there's a very good chance that happens this year at 107, and Dick Davis gets his boy, Michael Pittman.
Guess where Michael Pittman Jr. was born?
All right. Pick 111. Moving on. All right. Pick 111 now. So Pittman goes 10 to Kyle. We have our fearless leader back on the clock at pick 111. Who are you going to take here?
God damn it.
You need some time to think.
I mean, I was really hoping for that, but okay. So I feel like the running back, the top tier guys that you can kind of argue for those top spots are gone at this spot. There is a receiver that I like that went to a very good landing spot. He almost made it into my tier 1, and I will go with.
How many White Claws are you on? What is this, White Claw 7?
Denzel Mims.
Ooh.
Denzel Mims from Baylor. Go to the Jets.
York Jets. I fucking love this guy. I can't say enough about him. The only thing that didn't get him into that tier 1 spot was consistency, but he reminds me very much like DJ Chark. He ran a 4.38 40. A 6.663 cone, that could be a bad omen, but we'll get to that later. Vert 38.5, great. Broad 131, great. But the greatest thing of all is the landing spot, and that's to the Jets. Robbie Anderson's gone. Sam Darnold needs that number 1 receiver. And the thing that really puts it over the top for me here is at the 11th pick, the Jets took Mekhi Becton, the giant offensive tackle out of Louisville, and I think Sam Darnold is going to have more time to throw it. Le'Veon Bell is going to have bigger running lanes to run it. The defense is going to have to creep up, and Denzel Mims has all the tools to be that number 1 receiver, and I could see him producing more his rookie season than any other receiver in this entire draft class. That's why I'm going with Denzel Mims.
All right. I mean, Denzel Mims definitely... He has a good young quarterback, and with Robbie Anderson out of town, he has the ability, again, to be the wide receiver 1. We're at pick 111 and we're still picking guys who can be wide receiver 1s. That is ridiculous. I completely agree with you, Nick. He's an unbelievable receiver. Great size. He has opportunity there. So, I mean, that's a great pick at 111 since you couldn't get your boy Pittman.
Yeah. I got swooped on by fucking Kyle, dude. Jesus.
It's the spike draft.
So good, dude. People, yeah, Instagram people hating on me, all the trolls, bring it, dude. Just go on Twitter at Nicky D Knows, fucking tag me, you bitches. Just do it. Michael Pittman's the number 1 receiver in this whole fucking draft class.
So Denzel Mims goes to Dick at 11. Arun, you want to finish out the first round for us at pick 12?
Damn it, I got a decision.
Yeah.
All right.
So Arun, I mean, we're not doing this like teams, but so Arun's taken so far at pick number 2, he took JT, and at pick number 7, he took Jerry Jeudy. So that's a pretty solid draft so far. Let's see what you take here at 12.
All right. I am going to go with Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State at pick number 12. So Brandon lands in San Francisco, and I love the match with Shanahan. He's a yak monster. And we know Shanahan gets his wide receivers in space. Debo had an excellent rookie year, and I think Brandon can do even better. He had a 40-inch vert, and his burst score was 132, which is the 92nd percentile. That gives you an idea of how explosive of an athlete Brandon is. In addition to that, he was an explosive kick returner, which shows signal in transferring to being a successful wide receiver in the NFL. So he's got that going for him. So couple athleticism, first round draft capital with landing spot. And in addition to all of that, he had the lowest number of yards from contested catches. And you might be scratching your head on that, but as we know, the NFL is moving to a multi-wide receiver offense, and the one-dimensional wide receivers that just do jump balls, fades, contested catches are starting to fade away. And we know for a fact that Brandon Ayuk isn't one of them. He excelled with separation, getting open, and yak ability. So that tends me to believe he's got a high floor with an even higher ceiling in a San Francisco offense under Shanahan. So my pick at 112 was Brandon Ayuk.
Arun goes a little against
That was Kyle Shanahan's number 1 receiver, right?
Yeah, and that too. That was his number 1 receiver.
That's insane.
Yeah. Arun goes a little bit off his individual rankings here.
Yeah, the 49ers almost took Brandon Ayuk at 13, but the fact that Javon Kinlaw was there, they took him, and then at 31, they were still able to get their number 1 receiver. I think it's a great pick. Debo could be that guy, but I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Wait, so real quick, Adam, did I hear you say I was off my rankings? Is that what?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can get into it next. We can get into it next pick if you want.
Sure. We can do that.
So Arun takes Brandon Ayuk here at he's our number 9 consensus wide receiver. We had Denzel Mims as our number 6 receiver consensus. I'm going to go ahead here, and I wouldn't have taken it before picking him here before landing spot, I don't think, but I'm going to take Arun's receiver he has ranked above him. I'm going to take T. Higgins here.
Fuck yeah.
I love big receivers. People who know my draft history know I love to take big receivers. Mike Evans, Mike Williams, pretty much anyone named Mike who's over 6'3" will be on my football team except for Michael Pittman. And the landing spot here is just too good to pass up. He goes with Joe Burrow where they can grow together. He's going to learn from one of the best wide receivers in the game, AJ Green.
What?
And he has the ability to take over and slide right into that AJ Green role. AJ's on the franchise tag this year, correct?
Yes,
so
sir.
If AJ leaves next year, he'll have an ability to slide right in as the number 1 receiver on a Joe Burrow led offense. We talked about this all leading up to draft week. Joe Burrow was about as sure of a thing as you can get. So I'm going to go ahead and take the guy here in the second round who could be Joe Burrow's number 1 wide receiver 1 for a long time coming. So now we're at 2-1, and we're still taking guys that could be wide receiver ones. All right, so now back to Arun. Why you passed up on your boy T, who you had ranked higher than Brandon Ayuk?
Okay, so my second tier of wide receivers consists of Michael Pittman at the top, and then T. Higgins, Brandon Ayuk, Laviska. I just think it's so close with this year, with where these wide receivers landed. They're all super talented. They have so many positives going for them. My rankings are going to shift, and I did have T. Higgins one spot higher than Ayuk, but I think Ayuk's floor is safer than T. Higgins, and I went a little risk averse at 112. And the reason being, if you look at Higgins' comps historically, he's got a wide range of comps, and they go anywhere from the lower end being Dorial Green Beckham to the higher end being AJ Brown, Michael Thomas. And that's
the problem with the large receivers, right? That's the problem with those
exactly. That's the problem with the larger receivers. So he could be a big hit, but there is risk baked into that. And with a first round pick, I just decided to go with somebody that I think has a higher floor. But I think you could have taken T. Higgins at 111, 112, and you would have been fine. But that was my reasoning.
Could we never talk about Dorial Green Beckham ever again?
I'm pretty sure we talked about him on the last pod with Kyle Yates, but I completely agree with you, Arun. When you're in the first round, the key to winning Dynasty championships is hitting first round picks.
Yeah.
It's anything you hit after the first round should be considered a bonus. In this year's draft, you could probably hit in the second round, but in your first round picks, you got to make sure you hit on those. So I agree with you that Ayuk is probably a more is a less risky pick, but Higgins' ceiling is through the roof, and especially going to Burrow, it's a fantastic landing spot for him. And the fact that you can get guys like this dropping to the second round, we might have to do another mock draft next week. We were talking about it earlier. We're like, especially in the quarantine, how are people's rankings going to change, especially because there's no new information? But you're right. This next tier of guys is so close. I'm going to be tinkering with my rankings all off season, just watching more and more film, and it's going to be all about personal preference here. So go out there and stock up on picks because you can get guys that you like. So I took T. Higgins here at the top of the second, who is hopefully going to be Joe Burrow's number one receiver for a long time to come. So that takes us to 202. I see him looking at his notes. Are you ready to go at 202, Card?
I'm bummed. You sniped me, man.
This is the draft. This is going to be the draft of spikes. There's so many guys with like such high ceilings. It's like,
yeah,
it's really going to be you. I think this draft you're going to be have to be more prepared than any other draft because there's so many good players and anyone can go at any moment. So I think the preparation here is going to be key. We had Karn go at 4. He took TD Lamb, and at 9 he took Jalen Reagor. Are you going to continue? Like I said, we're not going to count this as a team per se because we're only 5 people. But are you going to stick with the wide receiver train, or are you going to switch over to the running backs?
I am going to stick with the wide receiver chain, and I don't love it, but I feel like the upside is too good to pass up, and I'm going to take a swing on Henry Ruggs III.
Ooh, Henry Ruggs III, the first wide receiver taken in the NFL draft who paid out me and Arun at plus 350.
Hey,
so tell us what you like about Ruggs, Karn.
So I think just here in the second round, you got to start taking some swings, and his upside is it's up there with some of the best in the class. And I feel like he doesn't have a lot of competition for targets. Right now, his biggest competition is going to be Darren Waller. Obviously, Edwards is going to be... Waller. Yeah, Darren Waller, dope. Edwards is going to be coming into the picture probably next season just because he's going to have that long recovery with his injury and all. But Ruggs is a producer. I mean, he's a producer. He didn't lead the team at Alabama, but he is a difference maker. He's a playmaker, and if he has the potential of being a Tyreek Hill, I'm willing to take that swing in the second round. So I'm going to go ahead and take Henry Ruggs.
I think at this pick here, that's a fantastic pick. We talked about this on the last pod. The NFL loves speed.
So,
and they love speed, and he's going to be in an offense where he's going to get to grow with all these young guys on the roster. And Ruggs has the ability to break out. And at 202, it's a fantastic pick. Arun, tell us what you think.
Yeah, so since I'm a Raider fan, I'm going to take this one. I like the pick. I think way too many people compare him to previous Raider picks like Darius Hayward-Bay. Oh, speed, he couldn't catch. Well, Henry Ruggs had the lowest catch rate. I mean, the highest catch rate in the class, the lowest drop percentage in the class.
Ding, ding.
He's the fastest receiver in the class, and he's got huge hands, not just for his size, in general. Top 5 hands in the class. This guy's a playmaker. You can give him the ball in the backfield, slants. People think he's just a deep threat. A lot of his touchdowns went off of slants and low ADOT receptions. And we all know Derek Carr for the last 3 years has a low ADOT. So he can get the ball in this guy's hands quick, and he can take it to the house. We know both Mayock and Gruden invested first-round draft capital to take him over Judy and Lamb. So I would like to think they're going to give him a ton of targets, and there's a ton of targets open in the Raider offense. So I like the pick. I think there's less risk than people think, although he doesn't have a safe floor by any means, but the upside's totally worth it. So I love it. I'm a fan.
This is coming from a guy who I know for the last at least how many times a day do you Google Henry Ruggs and try to read new articles, try to understand more about it, because the reaction of you live on the pod was fantastic. So I know that you've told me this via text and on the phone. You said that you've gotten more comfortable with this pick the more you read. It was just a kind of shock value pick for you guys.
I got more comfortable because they took Bryan Edwards in the 3rd. If they didn't take that, I would not be comfortable, because then this would be their main receiver and he'd be just a speed guy. But now, if you're going to focus on him, Bryan Edwards is going to eat. Then if you cover Bryan Edwards, Henry Ruggs is going to eat, and Darren Waller is going to eat.
Speak on
Lynn
it.
Bowden's going to eat. So I love it.
Raiders going to win the Super Bowl. Oh, what a joke, the fucking Raiders. Right, so card, but hey, Ruggs at 202 is fantastic value. And again, I'm gonna keep saying this over and over because this draft is so deep. You're getting guys with this high of a ceiling in the 2nd round. Go stock up on picks. Even if you don't get the guy you want, even if you get spiked, there's so much opportunity in this draft to revamp your roster and get guys who can be staples and foundations for your Dynasty Championship team.
Yeah, I think this is a good spot to go over our strategies when we're doing Dynasty rookie drafts, because I think we all have been playing Dynasty long enough to know that in the 1st round, you have to hit on your 1st-round pick. That's why Clyde...
And that's what Arun was talking about, right?
Exactly. But in the 2nd round, you just go all ceiling. And I completely agree with Karn's pick. Henry Ruggs to the Raiders. He has the upside of Tyreek Hill. He was the first receiver taken in the draft. But that goes just to the overall strategy of Dynasty picks. I think if you guys disagree, please jump in. But the 1st round, you have to hit. You go floor with a little bit of ceiling. In the 2nd round, you go all ceiling. And in the 3rd round, you get your guy. So
Nick, I think this rookie mock draft has clearly shown that, right? In the 1st round, we've taken guys with floors. And then the first 2 picks of the 2nd round, we take guys who we clearly know there's chances that they're not failure, but there's chances that they don't turn out into the guy that you want them to be. Yeah. But you take guys that the guy that you like, even if it's a speed guy with great route running ability who can be the wide receiver 1, or a big guy who can be an alpha receiver. You take like T. Higgins and Henry Ruggs are perfect examples of guys in the 2nd round who may not live up to expectations, but if they do, they could be home run hitters.
Exactly.
So I think that's a great point.
Yeah. And I think if we go, so if you're listening to this, I think you might have a question like, why is Henry Ruggs not in the 1st round of this rookie draft? So I think if we can go around, but for me, it's just Henry Ruggs. He's a deep threat. He's a gadget player. He's more than that. He has good hands. He can run routes. But I just don't see him being that alpha receiver. And I think when the Raiders took Bryan Edwards, that saved their entire draft. That validated the Henry Ruggs pick at 12 overall, and Brian Edwards in the 3rd round. That gives him the alpha receiver, which makes even Henry Ruggs even better, right? So I guess if you guys want to explain, why did you not pick Henry Ruggs in the 1st round?
So for me, I think Henry Ruggs is a great wide receiver. I think he adds a huge dimension to the Raiders offense that will be very well used throughout games. But I see a floor there, obviously, as many of us see. That's why I wasn't willing to make that risk in the 1st round because of that floor. I mean, we saw someone like Hollywood Brown, who's kind of the similar, high ceiling, low floor last year. He puts up games where he has 3 catches for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then he has a game where he has 2 catches for 10 yards.
Yep.
And that's not the type of guy that you really want to risk in the 1st round necessarily, when you can get a guy that can be that alpha receiver who's going to demand 6 to 10, throws a game. And so I think he's a great player, and there's no knock on him at all, but he's just not someone I want to take a risk on in the 1st round.
I think that's the perfect explanation. The ups and downs. You're not looking for a guy with peaks and valleys in 1st round. You're looking for a guy. You'd rather have a guy who's 75% plateau all the time than a guy who's 125. You can't miss in the 1st round if you want to win championships,
especially in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, no
it's
kidding.
Win or go
you're telling
home.
You're telling me the guy who started Calvin Ridley over Julian Edelman like an idiot against Arun 2 years ago, and I would have run my 2nd ring. But it's okay because I gave my fellow Sand his 1st ring, so we'll save that for another pod. So Henry Ruggs goes at 202 to Karn. Kyle, you took Justin, your boy Pluxton, at number 5, and you took Michael Pittman at number 10 in the 1st round. Woo! What are you doing? You switch it over? You're gonna keep going wide receiver?
I'm gonna
What's
make
your plan
a switch here. And I would have taken this pick at 109 if I even thought about it. But I'm going the 1st pick in the entire NFL draft, Joe Exotic. Hey! I love it. I am ecstatic that he fell to 203. Right when I picked him, I looked at my rankings. I was like, oh, shit. I totally forgot about the QB position.
Yeah.
Easy to do, but I did it, and I missed it, and we all missed it. And so for him to fall at 203 with a 60-yard touchdown season, 1st pick in the entire draft, this guy is as much of a can't miss as can be.
Yep.
They have talent around him. They have an elite running back. They have A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins now. And for him to just fall to the 2nd round just, again, shows how strong this class is, and I am ecstatic to have him.
Again, I'm going to say this. We are now at pick number 15, 203. And in my opinion, everyone here, except for maybe Brandon Ayuk, sorry, Arun, has the ability to be a top 12 player at their position, meaning a wide receiver 1, a running back 1, or, as Kyle just showed, a quarterback 1. The fact that Burrow is at 203 is just another testament to how strong this draft is. That is a fantastic pick, Kyle.
Thank you.
All right, so Kyle goes Joe Burrow and takes the 1st quarterback off our board. I think quarterback consensus rankings, I don't even need to talk about them because that was about the easiest consensus rankings you could ever do.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to use any formulas in Excel. I just typed in Joe Burrow, Tua, and Justin Herbert.
Wait, can we get some insight from Dick or Card on Joe Burrow? What are their thoughts?
I love Joe Burrow, especially with our scoring system in the Dynasty Rook League. It's 6-point touchdowns, not PPR, and the quarterback is a very valuable position. But with this mock draft, half-point PPR, blah, blah, everybody kind of pushes up the running backs and receivers. And like GV said, this class is unbelievable. You can get Joe Burrow at the top of the 2nd round. I think once we get closer to that Dynasty rookie drafts, and there's those teams that have those positions, except they're missing a quarterback, I think they can go Joe Burrow, get their missing piece for their team. Maybe if they're not trying to win now, but for the future and for the next 10 years, they could have their dynasty quarterback.
Karn, I know you're a Mixon owner. Tell me what your thoughts are. I know you have high hopes for the Cincy offense, right, next year?
Dude, I love it. Cincinnati's been trash, man. They've been so bad, and I'm just so pumped for Mixon to finally get a chance to have a productive offense. Hopefully, AJ Green can get healthy, and we can have a somewhat decent offense. And I think Joe Burrow is going to do much better than that. And I think for me, he is my number one quarterback. And after last season, you have to take him number one. You have to take him number one between him and Tua. So for Mixon, I love it. I think he's going to get more receptions. CEH, he was getting all those catches last season, and I think that those are going to go to Mixon this season. So I love it for him. He's going to have a better offense, and that's going to lead to more fantasy points. So,
yeah, I think everyone in that offense, I mean, Mixon's obviously not a buy low. Everyone who's a Mixon owner is not selling. But I think everyone in that offense is a great buy candidate. Guys like Tyler Boyd, even a guy like AJ Green. It's obviously a very risky pick, but a guy like that, because of Joe Burrow, it changes their whole offense. So Kyle goes Joe Burrow at 203, the first quarterback off the board.
Nice pick.
That takes us back to our fearless leader, who I believe is back from the bathroom or his 12th White Claw, one of the two.
Something like that.
So who are you going with, Dick, here at 204? So just to recap, Dick has taken Cam Akers at CEH at number 1, Cam Akers at 106, Denzel Mims at 111, and now he has 204.
Man, this is a tough one. I feel like the top of the second round is just, oh God. All right, I'm just gonna do it. I'm going. Oh man, come on.
I know you're taking.
Oh my!
You talked so much on the phone already.
All right, I'm doing it. I'm taking the number 1 receiver.
Raiders receiver.
Las Vegas Raiders.
So much on the spot already.
Edwards out of South Carolina.
I knew it the whole time.
Bryan Edwards. He was at the very top of the second tier for me, except he broke his foot. He was right behind Jerry Jeudy, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Pittman. If you haven't listened to Dick's Deep Dives, check
Triple
out
D, the Dick's Deep Dives.
Dick's Deep Dives, full scouting reports on every single rookie receiver. Anyways, Bryan Edwards. This guy is a playmaker that ain't scared of nothing. When John Gruden called him to draft him, he was like, Brian, please don't truck everybody on the defense when you catch the ball when you come play for me. Because this guy is fearless. He is a TO body, just like John Gruden said. He's going to be the number 1 receiver for the Oakland Raiders. And he just has all the tools necessary, except he broke his foot training for the combine. So I think if you can get a number 1 receiver, that's why he fell to me, right? Is that injury. And if I could get him here in the second round, I'm taking that chance. I didn't waste my first round pick on a chance player, but with my second pick, I'm going high ceiling, exactly like we talked about. Bryan Edwards, receiver, number 1 receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders, baby.
I won't say it again, but you know what I would say if I would say it again. This draft is ridiculous. I just said it again.
Arun can go first.
No. Go ahead, Kyle. Tell us what you think.
I fucking love Bryan Edwards. I think that to the blind eye, if I just looked another way,
really wanted to get in there.
if I looked another way to the injury history, I would have had him probably as my number 2 receiver behind TD Lamb.
Hell yeah.
The guy is just an absolute alpha wide receiver for whatever team he gets drafted by. 6'3", makes the most ridiculous circus catches, breakout age of 17.8. You watch this guy's highlight reel, and you're shocked how he's not the number 1 wide receiver.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
If you look, finish, Kyle. Sorry, my fault.
But he tore his meniscus. And then he re-injured his meniscus.
Classic doctor.
Before that, he had a shoulder injury. He had a broken foot.
No.
And he missed the combine because of that. And here we are.
No.
So there's definitely a downside, and that's why he's in the second round. But the upside is just about as high as you can get out of any of these wide receivers.
I think his upside is apparent from seeing Arun's reaction on Henry Ruggs after he was taken in the first, and then seeing Arun's reaction after Brian Edwards was taken. There is no doubt of the ceiling. The ceiling is there for him to be the number one receiver. It's just in the second round, especially at this point here, when you're looking at the board, it's a great risk to take, in my opinion, because if you hit, you're not supposed to hit in the second round anyways. The second round, you're supposed to go for ceilings. If you hit, you hit. So, I mean, this is, I think, a great pick. Arun, you got anything different to add on Brian Edwards?
No, I love the pick. I think there's definite upside. And when I watched Brian Edwards, I saw Des Bryant. I saw somebody who's physical at the line. He gets the ball in his hands and he runs over people. When Nick talked about this, when John Gruden called him, he said, you need to relax on running over people. He runs through you and he's not sorry about it. I love it. He's got a mean attitude. He's young. He's produced young. Only red flag is he wasn't an early declare, but he's still 21, which is a positive. I'm a fan. I love Brian Edwards.
And injuries.
2 red flags and injuries.
Fair enough.
That's it. That's a red flag. But I think that's a great pick here. So, Brian Edwards goes at 204 to Nick Davis. I wish I would have said it before you said it so people don't think I'm lying, but I knew you were taking that guy. You talked about him so much already.
You definitely said you're taking the Raiders receiver before I picked him.
Okay, let's go on to 205. Arun, you're on the clock. Who you got?
All right. I got another decision here, but I think
I know where he's going.
I don't think
I
you
hope it's not
do.
going. I'm going.
I think this is a change-up. I'm going to stop the wide receiver trend,
Yeah, there's one guy left.
and I'm going with the only running back that I have in the second tier all to himself. His name is Keyshawn Vaughn,
Ooh.
I was all written down.
Yes.
and these are my reasons. So in our initial rookie pre-draft mock, I took him at 212, and I said he had a high chance to rise. Well, he hit the jackpot and landed in the one spot where he rose. He's 5'10", 214, so he's got feature back size, ran a 4.51, which is good enough for me to feel comfortable about. If you look at, in a half PPR league, how valuable was James White in his prime with Tom Brady? Extremely valuable. You could start him at RB2, right? I think that's the floor for Keyshawn Vaughn. Rojo, I'm not a fan of. I don't think he's good at football. I don't care. Like,
Just in general.
just in general, like Kevin.
Just like him as a human being.
Yeah, Kevin can tell him all he wants. Like, there's so many stories of him partying for the first entire year after he got drafted. No work ethic. I don't think those type of players work out. So I think this is Keyshawn's backfield to lose. One, he had 100% catch rate his junior season. So he has the passing down skill set that Tom Brady loves. His breakaway run rate was the second in the entire class behind Jonathan Taylor, and that is a predictive stat for running backs going into the NFL. So just think about how good the top of this class is. Outside of Jonathan Taylor, nobody had a better breakaway run rate than Keyshawn Vaughn, which I love. And there was a quote from Bruce Arians. He said he's looking for that three down back. He wants a back that's going to be on the field for first, second, and third down. They took him in the third round, top of the third round at pick number 12. So I'm very confident in this pick. I think if you have a shot to take a 3-down back, at least for 2-3 years of production in the middle of the second round, you don't give that up.
Again, we're at 205 now. We have a guy who can be the starting running back on a team. And I agree with you. Keyshawn Vaughn is a home run hitter. He has big playability, and he goes to an offense that's going to use him in various ways that makes him very dangerous. I think he was the last running back who you can make a legitimate argument in year one has a clear-cut shot at the number one job. So Arun takes Keyshawn Vaughn at 205. Let's go to 206. Keyshawn Vaughn was a good pick. That was going to be my pick there. But I'm going to go ahead and the way I do my scouting during the Dynasty season, I don't watch too much college football because I went to UC Irvine with the rest of my homies. And I went to UCLA Law, and we didn't have a very good football team for a long time, although the Chargers did take a running back from there. So what I do is I have a running note in my phone where if someone catches my eye on a SportsCenter top 10 or someone catches my eye in the news, I just write them down and keep them in a note. So this guy's been in my notes for a long time, and I think he got a great landing spot. And I love big receivers, so I'm going to go with Laviska Shenault here.
Hey,
Laviska's 6'1", 227. He ran a 4.58, not great, but not bad. Under Dick Nafis's cutoff at 4.62.
Yep.
But he goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have Chark there, but I think Laviska can fill a similar and be the 1B to DJ Chark. And the fact that I can get year one production out of him in Jacksonville with Gardner Minshew, who I believe is a good quarterback. I think it's at this point in the second round, it's another guy who can be a wide receiver one. He has the clear ability. He has the size. He can make contested catches. I think he's a guy who could succeed at the next level. And the fact that I can get him here, a guy who went to a great landing spot, I can get him here in the middle of the second round. Just another testament to this draft. So I'm going to go ahead and take Laviska Shenault who went to the Jacksonville Jaguars here at 206. All right, so in the second round so far, we've had T. Higgins at 1, Henry Ruggs at 2, Joe Exotic at 3, Brian Edwards at 4, Keyshawn Vaughn at 5, and Laviska Shenault at 6. That puts our Jordan Love fan on the clock. Karn, you know what you do here? So Karn has taken so far, again, TD Lamb at 4 in the first round. He took Jalen Reagor at 9. He took Henry Ruggs in the second at 2. Now is when I think it starts to get a little dicier. I think now you're running out of RB1s and wide receiver ones. So do you know what you're going to do here, Karn?
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. Things are dicey, so I'm going to go with the safer pick, and I'm going to take Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, I was going to say, except we haven't run out of QB ones, but I didn't want to give the pick away because I'm going to take it Tua later.
I'm taking Tua, man. All the other guys here left on the board, they just got too many question marks. In my opinion, they're pretty damn risky. Like, if you want to take Tua here, the safer pick, he can easily be the QB1 of this draft class. And I love the landing spot. I love him landing in Miami. Everything that's been going on with with Brian Flores, their management, and all the pieces that they're putting in place. Our boy Preston Williams. They got Devontae Parker.
Williams.
So he's gonna have plenty of weapons for him to throw to. He's got Mike Gesicki. And they even added Jordan Howard and Matt Breida. So I love the moves that Miami's making. And I think Tua's the pick here.
That's a great pick.
Great pick.
I completely agree with you. Miami has done some great things. They shored up the offensive line. They took Austin Jackson in the first round, 2 out of USC. They are really trying to build a new offense there. And they got guys like Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, Matt Breida, who showed last year he can be a great running back, Jordan Howard. I really like that pick here. And I think this will be the last pick probably where it's a high ceiling guy that you can have a consistent starter on your dynasty team possibly for a long time. But I think that's the right pick here for sure. It's Tua has such a high ceiling. And he goes to a good situation. They are putting the right pieces around him. Tua's not going to be a year one thing, I think. But again, we're playing Dynasty, so I completely agree that Tua is the right pick there. I know we've talked about Tua a lot, so I don't know if anyone has anything else about Tua that they want to bring up here.
Love it. I want to hear Arun's scouting report. on Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, tell us why Kevin Pham is wrong.
Yeah,
Dude, oh my God. The quote was he couldn't lead an offense. Okay. Well, the greatest adjusted yards per pass attempt in the history of college football belongs to Tua.
classic quote.
100%. And it's a very predictive stat going from the NFL, from college to the NFL. And I understand the argument that he had all these studs around him. Well, has there not been a quarterback before that's been in a super studly environment that hasn't produced to that level? Like Joe Burrow had studs around him. His AYA wasn't that high. For the record, I'm not arguing Tua should be 101. Joe Burrow is the 101 in my opinion. Tua is the 102. But I think the only concern with Tua you have of him being a bust whatsoever is injury. If he doesn't get hurt, lock it in. That's a top 10 fantasy quarterback. And the Miami Dolphins knew that, and that's why they invested the 5th overall pick in him.
And that was another big win for the Rook bookie plus Arun. Tua as the second quarterback off the board. We lost on our under 3.5, but Miami knew they didn't have to trade up for him, and they got their guy. And he's going to be their guy for the next 10 to 12 years.
Yeah, shout out the Rookbook. Gautam, if you want to explain to the listeners what the Rookbook is, I think it's a great tool. I don't know much about betting, but I'm learning a lot from you guys.
All right, well, gambling's really fun for those of you who don't know. It can hurt your wallet, and it can also make you cry at times, but it's there's ups and downs. It's kind of like the second round of a rookie mock draft. There's big hits, and there's low valleys, but the Rookbook, we put out picks every week. We have a little friendly competition between me, our doctor of physical therapy, Kyle Chapman, and Andy Ferdig. I think we're going to bring in Arun for a couple guest spots this year because I know he loves to join us on those things. But check out the Rookbook. We put out content all year. It's great stuff. So Karn goes Tua Tagovailoa at 207. That puts Kyle on the clock. Kyle, do you want me to recap your picks, or you're good to go?
I'm good to go. I've been
do it.
just so torn between two people over this last pick, but we're talking ceiling here. We're talking home run picks. This is the second round. Go and get a guy who can potentially do that for you. And for that reason, I will be taking Chase Claypool.
Yes.
All right.
Of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This guy went in the second round, pick 17, which is the highest the Steelers have picked a wide receiver in God knows how long.
Wow.
And the Steelers are notorious for being just elite at picking wide receivers. And for them to pick him higher than they picked Juju, than they picked other players in the past, is a testament to how good they think this guy could be. He is 6'4", 238 pounds.
Jesus.
And can run a 4.4 240.
Jesus.
There was a question that he was going to go to tight end position, but clearly he's not because he was drafted as a wide receiver. He might not be the biggest yak guy, but he's massive. He has a huge catch radius. He showed an increase in his production over the past 3 years. His senior year, he had 66 catches, 1,037 yards, and 13 touchdowns. And this is one of those guys where classic landing spot and draft capital for me. He just shot up my board, and I will absolutely take a shot at him in the middle of the second round.
Yeah, Claypool's a great pick here. He was taken in the second round at pick 49 by the Steelers, and the Steelers have their fight for wide receiver 2 is open. I know Arun might argue that with his boy Deontay, but the pick there's definitely opportunity for him there. So I think that's a great pick here, and there's a high ceiling there.
Yeah, I love Chase Claypool. Big Ben has been looking for a big body. Bless you, got him. Are you okay? Oh, bless you again, dude.
Oh, sad one, dude. You scared that one out of me.
So Big Ben's been looking for that big body receiver since Plaxico Burress, and we just haven't.
What do you mean? What the hell is Juju, dude?
He's not a big body receiver.
He's not
what
as big as Claypool.
Get out of here. Yeah, he's a possession receiver. So Claypool's 6'4", 238. I think he can play kind of that big slot role and then line up outside. My comp for him is DK Metcalf. He doesn't have the elite athleticism as DK, but he runs the similar amount of routes. He runs the go route. He's going to go up over the cornerback. He can run the slant and just body the linebacker. He's a mismatch weapon over the middle. And I think Ben Roethlisberger Ben Roethlisberger is going to target him a lot, especially when we have Eric Ebron and Chase Claypool over the middle. I think we go. I mean, like Kyle said, you could have him as a tight end. He's more of like a Y split tight end. So you could have 2 tight ends, and then you have Juju Smith and Deontay Johnson on the field at the same time. And I think Ben is just going to pepper him with targets. That's a great pick with the second round.
You got 15 seconds, Arun. Do you want to plug Deontay Johnson?
I love Deontay Johnson. I think he's going to crush. Absolute stud of a route runner. Top 10 in the NFL, not just for rookies, but overall in yards per separation per catch. I'm trying to see a world in which Juju, Deontay, and Chase all become relevant. It's possible, but how long really does Ben have left? I don't know. I mean, maybe Nick has a bigger opinion on that.
Maybe 2, maybe 3. That's it.
I think 3 would be a push. I think max 2, maybe 1. I feel like he's starting to get hit more. You're going to get injured. And the separation guy, I'm going to take the separation guy over the jump ball athletic guy. And that's Deontay Johnson, who showed out as a rookie.
Yeah. What would you give up for Deontay right now if you want to buy? Around here?
I don't think you
right around this.
No, I don't think you can trade him because Deontay owners want more than your league mates are going to want to pay. So unless somebody's going to pay like 201 in this draft, I wouldn't even consider it.
Okay. Fair enough. So Kyle goes Chase Claypool at 208. Let's go to 209, which is our fearless leader again, Dick Navis.
Yes.
Do you know what you're doing here?
Oh, man. So I do love Steelers players, and I would go Anthony McFarland because I think he's going to produce year 1. I think he's going to be the lightning to James Conner's thunder. But I'm going to go with a position that is rarely produces, only if you have a top guy. I'm going with Adam Trout.
I love it. Change
Rainbow Trout.
He was my Rainbow Trout. I would chant that now, but we chanted it the last time. You guys can check out the last pod.
It's already a long pod.
Trout. Adam Trout. He was my number 1 tight end coming into the NFL draft, and then he just went to the New Orleans Saints. It's like the perfect landing spot. He's a great route runner. He can get separation. He has short area quickness, and he could block in line, which means he's going to get on the field. And I was concerned about the Drew Brees longevity, but when you sign a guy like Jameis Winston, I feel like Jameis Winston is that long-term answer for the Saints. He's going to learn under Drew Brees. Even if he throws a couple interceptions, he's not going to throw 30 interceptions ever again.
He'll throw. Who cares about the interceptions? You don't own Jameis Winston. You own Adam Troutman. Exactly. All you need is Jameis to throw another 30 touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly. And even with Jameis throwing interceptions, that might even help Adam Troutman. So I think Adam Troutman's a value pick here in a position that is very hard to hit on a guy. And if you have a top 5 tight end, you have a very big advantage in Dynasty.
Agreed. I think this is the end of the second round is where you look at these top tight ends, maybe. He's our consensus number 1 tight end. I think Troutman, at least if you're in win now mode and you got to pick at the back of the second, he's a guy who could help you in year 1 with Drew Brees. So Dick goes Adam Troutman at 209. That puts Arun on the clock at 210. Arun, who you got here?
This one's tough. You want to recap my picks real quick? Give me a sec.
Yeah, okay. So Arun took JT at number 2. Arun took Jerry Jeudy at number 7 in the first round. Arun took Brandon Ayuk. So we better see a ceiling pick here, Arun.
You're gonna get
Arun. You're gonna get Arun took Keyshawn. I hope you don't take my guy. I don't think you will. Arun took Keyshawn Vaughn at 205, and now Arun is here at 210. Who are you taking? It's not a guy we talked about before, right?
This is a huge ceiling pick. There's a better floor pick, but whatever. End of the second, let me go for gold. I'm going with Antonio Gibson.
Are you going to give him the stat line I gave you before?
I'm going to let you talk about the stat line because I don't remember it. But, okay. So we're talking, he's 6 foot, 228 with a 68% BMI, and he ran a 4.39. His closest comp on Player Profiler physically, analytically is Joe Mixon. That's monstrous. I was a huge fan of Tony Pollard last year out of Memphis. And Antonio Gibson is just as good, if not better. This guy's a tweener. And listen to this. His yards per carry in college was 11.2 yards per carry, which was in the 99th percentile ever for all college prospects. Ever. Coach Rivera said this. He's similar to CMC, but he's bigger. That gives me so much confidence in that they're going to use him in more than just a significant like RB role or wide receiver role. I hope they just move him all around and give him touches, manufactured touches for him. And I'm stoked. His floor is low, absolutely. He could end up being somebody that's just a gadget player, but he could also end up being somebody that gets 15 to 17 quality touches a game and changes a game. So I'm going to go with Antonio Gibson at the back end of the second.
I fucking hate you, dude.
Damn.
That is you. So when he played SMU, he had, I'm going to go to my notes here. He had 6 receptions for 130 yards and a touchdown. And then he had 3 rushes for 97 yards and a touchdown. And then he had 3 returns for 159 yards and another touchdown.
Jeez.
That is the definition of low floor gadget player or a high ceiling, unstoppable weapon athlete. That is the definition of that. I saw that tape against SMU and I fell in love. He was in Memphis and he reminded me a lot of a guy that I'm going to take again here who does a lot of different things. I'm going to go straight to the next pick and I'm going to take Lynn Bowden. This is where you try to hit home runs. And I think Lynn Bowden is a perfect guy to take, especially because we're on the clock here in the rookie mock draft that isn't like the real draft. But it's a guy who's very similar to Antonio Gibson in that he's just an athlete. We don't know what it's going to end up being. I think the Raiders are looking to use him as a running back, but we've seen, especially in the past in my dynasty leagues, I've seen Jalen Samuels win a championship or have a chance to win a championship because he can get started at running back or wide receiver. You see these guys who can play multiple positions and do different things. And Lynn Bowden, I think in a John Gruden offense, John's going to use him. And to the extent that something opens up, there's a chance for him there. So I think in the second round when you're taking the home run hits, it's okay to go with these guys like Antonio Gibson or Lynn Bowden, the ceilings are there. They can do so much. They have such high football IQs from what they do. You just don't know about the floors. But Arun and I took care of our floors in the first, and since Arun spiked me and we're now at an hour 32 on the podcast, I'll keep this quick and I'll go with Lynn Bowden. You motherfucker. I can't believe you took fucking Antonio Gibson. All right, so I'm going to go Lynn Bowden Jr. at 211. That puts Karn on the clock with the last pick of the second round. So we're going to finish the second round up at 12, and then Kyle's going to pick at the top of the third, and then we'll recap the picks. Karn so far has taken TD Lamb at 4, Jalen Reagor at 9, Henry Ruggs at 2 in the second, and Tua at 7. Are you going to take a running back for us, Karn? Nope.
I am. So I'm going with.
Oh,
Hey.
So I'm gonna go with Anthony McFarland.
hey.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was my other choice there.
As far as the other running backs left on the board, I think McFarland's got a pretty big opportunity. With James Conner in his last year of his contract, there's a lot of opportunity available. So if he doesn't pan out this season, I can easily see Pittsburgh letting him walk, and that opens things up for Anthony McFarland. As far as his abilities on the field, like I loved what I saw on the tape. I thought he looked great. So I'm willing to take a swing at him at the end of the second round. So let's do it.
Yeah, he was another guy. He was a guy I was thinking about picking, but Arun's Antonio Gibson pick inspired me to pick Bowden. I think Anthony McFarland does the things that you love, Dick Navis. He makes the first guy miss. He pushes the pile forward.
That I'm
he can
least
play inside
concerned
outside.
about.
He can play.
Sorry.
Yeah, he can play inside outside. He's a strong runner.
Yep.
I've seen some tape on him, but I don't understand why he spent so many games under 10 carries. I think you were telling me before that there's another guy there, but I definitely think he's a guy with more opportunity. He has a lot of capabilities and has a lot of solid fundamental things that you want to see running backs do, like we talked about, pushing the ball forward, making the first guy miss. He's a very strong runner.
Yeah.
I think that's a great pick there.
Yeah, the year before last, he had 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns. This year, he had 614 yards and 8 touchdowns. He did have a little injury, but this guy is the guy that I'm least concerned about, and he's gonna produce. There's no high ceiling, low floor for me. It's a high floor and it's a low ceiling, and that's Anthony McFarland. If you want some production now and then possible higher production later, you go Anthony McFarland.
All right, so Anthony McFarland rounds out the second round. Kyle, do you want to finish up this rookie mock draft for us with 301?
Yeah, let's finish it. There's so many good players on the board still. I mean, we've said this so many times, but there's 5 guys I'd be happy with falling to me right here. But since this is the last pick and this is the beginning of the third round, I'm going to get the guy that I fell in love with today. I texted Dick right after I did my scouting on him, and I was like, oh my God, I have a new love at running back. I will be taking Darrington Evans.
Yes.
Ooh.
He was drafted in the third round by the Tennessee Titans, so I'm not looking – this is the third round here. I'm not looking for immediate production. I'm not looking for an RB1. Obviously, he can learn from the best running back in the game. Dick,
Let's go. Derrick fucking Henry, baby.
Exactly. This guy's 5'10", 205 pounds, so great size for running back. Runs a 4.41 140. His senior year, he put up, 1,480 yards, 18 touchdowns rushing, had 21 catches for 200 yards and 5 touchdowns receiving. You watch this guy's tape, and you give him an inch of space, and he's gone. I mean, he's unreal. He's shifty, elusive. I mean, it's perfect position for him to just kind of learn the ropes of being a running back in the NFL his first year. And Derrick Henry's franchise tag, so we don't know if he's coming back next year. And if Darrington can show that he's worth, being that starting running back, Derrick Henry could be gone, and he could slip right in there and he could be an RB1. I mean, he has that size, he has the speed, he has what it takes. So it's just if he can perform in the NFL. So I'm willing to swing for the fences with the first pick of the third round there.
This draft is ridiculous. Guys still left on the board are
good.
One of Kyle Yates' favorite guys, Antonio Gandy Golden. Van Jefferson still left on the board. KJ Hamler still left on the board. Not one of my favorites, but Zach Moss is still left on the board. AJ Dillon still left on the board.
Unbelievable.
Joshua Kelly still left on the board. LaMichael Pirine still left on the board. This draft is going to be Justin Herbert is still left on the board. This is going to be a fantastic draft. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Shout out to Karn for the first time showing up. Karn, I wish your Packers luck finding their mojo. Arun, last thoughts. Thanks for joining.
I got 2 questions. One, Nick, who'd you take at 21? Right before
Got
me.
him. You got it.
What's 21? What pick was that?
121.
It's 109.
Troutman. Got it. And my second question is to
You
Karn.
like that?
I do like that. I think that's solid. Karn, first time on the pod. What are your thoughts on film versus analytics? And
agreed.
How do you scout?
All right, so as far as my scouting goes, I tend to I usually start later. So usually people start scouting right away during the college season and stuff like that. Me personally, I don't watch a lot of college football. I usually stick to the NFL, and I don't have a lot of time on Saturdays, so So I usually
That might change when Jordan Love's your quarterback.
Oh man! And so usually I tend to start my my scouting around the draft actually. So I like seeing draft capital. So I start with draft capital, see where everybody lands, and I start picking up information from Twitter. I think Twitter is one of the greatest resources that I've had for my Dynasty success, back-to-back champ. And so,
Shout out at Dynasty Karn.
Yes, sir, Dynasty Karn. But yeah, so I usually start my research, and I stick to the tape. And I start with the tape. I review the scouting reports, see if my thoughts match what other people think. Greg Cosell, I love reading his reports. He's been in the game for, I don't know.
He's good. He's
yeah,
good.
he's great. He's great. He's been scouting for,
Sure.
I don't know, I think it's like over 30 years. But I'll read the reports, and then I will take bits as far as the analytical side. I will take bits of that to support my findings and my scouting. And so I'm not really just one-sided. I would say I'm definitely a film guy, and I use the analytical side to back my findings.
Got it.
And I think that's the best approach, right? We have so much information at our disposal. You're doing a disservice to yourself if you don't use all that information. And the way you approach it is perfect, right, Karn? You do your own scouting first, and you look at others in the industry who are proven track records, and you see what their thoughts are and when they match yours. And then when you find someone who your thoughts on the player matches their thoughts, that's your home run hit, right? Yeah. No, that's awesome. I know you do a lot of scouting. You are also a Dynasty champion, correct?
Back to back, man.
Ooh, so this year's for the three-peat.
Hey,
Oh, look at that!
trophy.
Look at that!
Going for the three-peat, man. I'm going for the three-peat.
Oh wow, the three-peat. In our Dynasty League, the rule is if you three-peat, you get to keep the trophy, and we got to buy a new one.
Hey, I like that. I like that rule, Arun. You better think about that.
We don't have that rule. I don't make that up.
What? I thought that was the rule. No wonder Arun wanted to know your scouting tricks, dude. He's trying to bite off your tricks,
He's
dude.
gonna bite, man. He sniped me with Kyler Murray last year by telling other league mates to draft him before me. So I know Arun's up to some tricks.
That is not true. Somebody asked me for my opinion. I give them my opinion.
That sounds like classic Arun to me. Maybe he's calmed down now that he has a ring. Well, awesome, Karn. Thanks for joining today. It was awesome, Arun. Thanks for joining too. I know we'll have you both on the podcast very soon. Shout out to Kyle Chapman, the new Jalen Rager's #1 fan, number 18. Thanks for joining today. We're going to put out our picks on an article as well, so you guys can take a look. If you aren't able to listen to the full podcast, you can take a look at our website. We have a lot of other content out there. Again, check out Karn's Buy Low, Sell High article on running backs. Thanks for doing that, Karn. We're going to have a lot more articles coming out as we do. We had a Rising Stars redraft article where we drafted players from the 2017, 18, and 19 rookie classes all in one pool. And that had some interesting results as well, including a surprise first pick. And I'm sure as we continue to tinker, maybe we'll just do a mock second round next time, and keep it interesting, because the second round is where it gets crazy. But I want to thank everyone. Dick, I didn't thank you, but you're on, everyone. Thank you. I love you. Thanks for being here. And thanks for joining, guys. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. We'll see you next time.
Love you guys. Later.
Peace. This has been another episode of the Dynasty Rook podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Dynasty Rook, and all content is available at dynastyrook.com.
And YouTube at Dynasty Rook.
And YouTube at Dynasty Rook. Thank you, Arun. And we will see you next time.
Raka!